Hey everyone, this is Max. I want to thank you for joining me in another tutorial video. It's going to be the 8th video of our Mixamo Maya series. And we're going to be doing this one is just kind of covering how the time editor works, some basic editing tips, how to navigate around it, things like that. And then the video after this, it'll be the final video. We'll actually work on blending and sequencing different animations together to try to make them blend smoothly. So this will just be kind of an overview of the tools, and then we'll apply them in the next video. Right, so if you need to open this up and you don't know where it is, it's going to be under Window, Animation, Time Editor. Then what we're going to do is go to File, Import Animation Clip, and be working with the XSpot walking forward. Then we'll just open this up. It's going to ask where to apply the root. We're just going to hit Apply and Close, and that'll be fine. Okay. So one thing you might run into an issue with one of the looping steps that we'll go over in this video is if you're working with the control rig, which I brought in before when we were importing animations and creating the clips. If you're working with a control rig character, you are going to run into issues with the way it looks at the root. The looping won't work. So just one thing to keep in mind, and I'll kind of point that out when we get there. So it'll probably be best just to be working with this version of the character again. Alright, so just a few things to kind of note. It's going to be really similar to how the interface of Maya works. So Alt, right click, that'll be your zoom, and that is your zoom in here. And then Alt middle mouse is for panning in Maya, and this will be your pan in here to kind of scrub back and forth and move. Alright, so a few things before we get started. We have different options here that are really cool. So this is going to be your trim section. This will be your scale, this will be your loop, and hold. So trimming, what this will do is it'll control where kind of the clip stops at. So if we stop it early, we'll see that it no longer plays past this point. If we go further than this, we're actually not going to see anything. And if you want to drag this out to get more frames, just pull where the black line is. So now when we actually go past this point, we could see after 31 frames, there's nothing here. So this will allow you just to kind of trim your clip. Right, next what we have here is loop. I'm sorry, no, this one's scale. So what scaling is going to do, it's going to control how fast or slow the animation plays. So if we scale this out, we're actually going to see that the animation will play slower. And if we scale this in, we'll see the animation goes faster. The next one is looping. So with the loop, what it's going to do is it should start with a progressive loop based off the type of animation that it's seeing. All right, so we can see here the arrows showing forward should show that's progressive looping. Let's see if it is. Yep, it is looping progressively. So what this means is because the character is moving forward, it's not creating a kind of teleporting loop where it goes all the way to the end and then teleports back. It's actually taking its position in space and allowing it to keep walking forward, which is really cool. If you do need to change this or it's not working, what you can do is you could, if you're in the channel box, you can open up the attribute editor, and while having the clip selected, you're going to want to make sure clip after mode is for loop progressive. And if you want to do something where it's looping before the clip, you can go loop progressive this way, and you can actually pull out here. So this will allow you to loop before the starting point. So these are some ways you can adjust this. If you're noticing the loop progression still isn't working and you're probably having a root issue problem, again, I think with the way the control rigs work, it's not finding the root properly, so the animation isn't able to loop progressively. So just something to keep in mind when you're working. Right, and then the next one is a hold. So what a hold will do is, say we trimmed our clip down, and then we wanted it to hold here. We'll now make it after our trimmed spot. It'll actually hold that position and won't keep walking forward. And this is one thing that can be kind of cool if you want to experiment with stuff, is you could actually apply your trim and other options together, which is cool. So like if you want to do trim and then loop, we'll see now it's actually going to loop based off the trim. So now the person's going to look like they kind of have an injury because of the way the leg's kind of shifting. You could also do the same thing again with a hold. You can trim it and then hold it from that position specifically. So it's kind of nice. Kind of mess around with that. I think the looping one would probably be the cooler one to experiment with. Right, and then one last thing I kind of want to go over in terms of editing is, let's say you're trying to match different clips together. This is going to be something we're going to be kind of using in the next video. So if you have multiple clips and you're trying to loop them together, say we have it progressively looping outward. Sorry, it's the hold. Make this longer. All right, so now we have this character progressively looping. If we want to make it where it actually like picks up at this position, so let's say we have another walk or run or something happening, and we want the pickup point to be right here where it transitions. Fortunately, no matter what you do, because of the looping, it's always just going to play from the beginning. So if we try to duplicate this clip, let's say Command C, Command V to paste it. We could see, like, let's say we want this to be the starting point. What's going to happen is it's just going to start playing the original. So let's say we want to make it so this is the point where it actually stops at. We can actually group this hitting Control G, and then we can use one of the other tools for cutting a clip, and that'll make it where now this is actually the start point, because the group is kind of overriding the previous looping from where we cut it. So you see now it's actually going to start from this position versus starting in the beginning. So again, this is like something that can be really useful if you're trying to blend in clips that are all moving together and having like this long progressive walking forward in space. All right, so yeah, just to overview real quick. Again, we went over how to use the trim, scale, loop, and hold. I also went through cutting clips, grouping clips, and some different ways you can kind of combine these together to kind of mess with stuff. If this was helpful, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe for future videos. In the next video, what we're going to be going over is how to sequence and kind of blend multiple animations together. And that'll be the last video of our series. And I'll see you in the next one. Make sure you subscribe for future content and follow me on the social platforms linked below.